They say the best revenge is success, but sometimes the sweetest revenge is watching someone destroy themselves with their own arrogance. I never thought I'd be the kind of person to orchestrate someone's downfall, but Victor Sterling changed all of that. My name is Nadia, and this is the story of how I brought down the most insufferable executive in Silicon Valley, using nothing but his own hubris and a few lines of carefully placed code. For 3 years, I had poured my life into building Novatech's AI platform from scratch in our cramped South San Jose workspace. While executives in tailored suits presented our work to investors, my team and I remained invisible in our converted warehouse, surrounded by cables and servers. Logan, our infrastructure genius, Priya with her elegant code, and Dylan, the former Google engineer whose cynicism masked fierce loyalty. We were family, forged through impossible deadlines and breakthrough moments. The platform we built was revolutionary, though management treated us like footnotes. I didn't mind being behind the scenes until the budget cuts came without explanation. The condescending emails about optimizing resources and requests for team members that disappeared into bureaucratic black holes. When Victor Sterling strutted through our workspace for the first time, I knew our equilibrium would shatter. Designer shirt costing more than my rent, perfectly styled hair, ridiculous sunglasses worn indoors. He was everything I despised about Silicon Valley culture distilled into human form. "This is where the magic happens?" he asked, tone dripping with dismissive skepticism. Victor had come from New York with what he called a vision, and what I recognized as ignorance wrapped in arrogance. The first weeks under Victor were a slow-motion disaster. He questioned everything we built, not from curiosity but from assumption that whatever came before him was inferior. He brought in consultants who'd never written production code to evaluate our architecture. Worst of all, he started calling our AI platform legacy Python stuff in front of clients. 3 years of cutting-edge research, innovative algorithms competitors couldn't reverse engineer, architectural decisions that saved millions in server costs. Reduced to legacy Python stuff, it was like calling the Sistine Chapel old paint on a ceiling. I tried maintaining professionalism, scheduling meetings to explain our work's intricacies. Victor listened with the patience of someone humoring a child explaining crayon drawings. He'd nod, ask questions revealing he understood nothing, then dismiss conversations with, "I'm more of a big-picture guy." Meanwhile, he dismantled everything organizationally. Budget approvals requiring weeks instead of days. Equipment upgrade requests vanishing. Most insidiously, reassigning team members to pet projects with impressive names that translated to nothing in actual technology. The breaking point came Tuesday morning in March. Victor's email arrived at 8:47 a.m. Team restructuring meeting, mandatory attendance with a 9 a.m. invite. 13 minutes as notice for what I suspected would be life-changing. In the sterile conference room, Victor sat in his leather chair, looking pleased with himself. "Nadia, we need to discuss your role moving forward. The company needs leadership focused on scalability, not technical execution. More strategic thinking, less hands-on coding." Strategic thinking, as if hundreds of architectural decisions I'd made weren't strategic. As if designing systems handling exponential growth wasn't strategic thinking of the highest order. "We're bringing in Travis Morrison to lead the AI platform team," Victor continued. "He has extensive management optimization experience." Travis Morrison, Victor's New York colleague whose experience consisted of running frozen yogurt shops. A man who'd probably never seen Python code, much less understood distributed machine learning complexities. "Travis has never worked in tech," I said, controlling my voice despite building rage. "Exactly," Victor smiled condescendingly. "He brings fresh perspective. Sometimes you need someone outside an industry to see opportunities insiders miss." The audacity was breathtaking. Victor argued that ignorance was qualification, that understanding work was liability. The transition would be effective immediately, and I had until Friday to document 3 years of complex technical work for someone who couldn't distinguish neural networks from networking protocols. Walking back to our workspace, my mind raced to implications Victor hadn't considered. 6 months earlier, when budget cuts threatened our stability, Logan and I had researched corporate protection strategies. We'd established Redline Systems LLC, a Delaware corporation serving as legal firewall. Every significant module we'd developed since then was technically licensed through Redline rather than developed directly for Novatech. The licensing agreement was elegant. Novatech could use our innovations as long as I remained platform administrator. Remove me, and the license automatically expired. Victor had signed these arrangements without reading carefully, probably assuming they were standard contractor agreements. His signature was on file, establishing his awareness and acceptance. In his arrogance, he'd never bothered understanding what he was agreeing to. The team took the news predictably. Logan's face cycled through confusion, anger, and grim determination. Priya laughed bitterly at the absurdity. Dylan stood so abruptly his chair crashed into a server rack. "You're kidding," Dylan said, voice carrying disbelief and fury. "I wish I were," I replied. That evening, I called my lawyer, Alina Rodriguez, who'd helped establish the Redline structure. So he actually did it, she said. Fired you despite the licensing agreement. He doesn't think he fired me. But according to our terms, any removal from platform administration constitutes termination under the license. Those modules represent 70% of the platform's functionality, Alina said. Without them, they're running a demo version. Wednesday morning, Victor held his integration meeting. Travis Morrison was everything I'd expected. Earnest, enthusiastic, utterly clueless. He spoke in buzzwords about synergy, made suggestions dangerous to platform stability, wanted to eliminate testing, and focus on shipping features rather than worrying about edge cases. Thursday morning, I triggered the licensing termination. A single command from my laptop, followed by automated email. License termination activated due to breach of administrative oversight requirements. I timed it for 10:15 a.m. The platform would function normally for 2 hours as cached processes completed. Then critical systems would gradually fail. Trouble started at 12:23 p.m. Customer-facing AI interfaces returned generic errors instead of intelligent responses. By 12:45, analytics dashboards showed red alerts. At 1:10, mobile applications simply stopped working. The beauty was that technically, nothing was broken. All servers ran normally, base platform functioned, data processed correctly. But without Redline licensed modules, the system couldn't perform intelligent analysis clients paid for, like a sports car with no engine. Victor's first instinct was blaming the engineering team. He stormed into our workspace at 2 p.m., demanding to know why nobody noticed. System failures. The fact that engineers couldn't fix a problem requiring legal intervention apparently didn't occur to him. Travis was completely overwhelmed. Faced with errors he couldn't understand, he asked for status reports and timelines. Engineers tried explaining this wasn't a technical problem, but Travis insisted every problem had solutions with proper project management. By 3 p.m., clients were calling. Ellen Martinez, director of operations, was first to actually read the termination notice and understand implications. Her emergency meeting with Victor was controlled professional fury. You fired the one person whose continued employment was legally required to keep our platform functional, she told him. Victor's response was predictably defensive. He argued he'd only restructured my role, claimed the licensing agreement was unnecessarily complex, suggested engineers could work around restrictions. Ellen explained you can't work around licensing restrictions any more than gravity. Rebuilding modules would take months. Meanwhile, every day cost clients revenue, reputation. The breaking point came when Luther Vance, Novatech's senior partner, sent a 2-word email, explain, now. Luther was legendarily direct. His emotional range spanned mildly pleased to coldly furious. That he was asking for explanation rather than fixing the problem meant he recognized this as beyond normal operational difficulties. Victor's meeting with Luther lasted 18 minutes. 18 minutes to explain how he'd disabled the company's core product by firing the one person whose employment was legally necessary. Luther called an emergency board meeting for Friday morning. Victor was instructed to find solutions or explain to the board how his decisions created a potentially company-ending crisis. Friday morning, I received Ellen's email requesting a meeting to discuss potential paths forward. I arrived at 11 a.m., 1 hour before the emergency board meeting. The board meeting was corporate efficiency at its finest. Luther chaired with clinical precision. Ellen presented the technical situation with charts, making the problem impossible to misunderstand. Legal explained the licensing structure. Finance provided projections showing daily costs of outages. When Victor presented his perspective, it was corporate deflection masterclass. Strategic realignment, optimization frameworks, management efficiency. He argued licensing was unnecessarily complex, suggested legal challenges might invalidate agreements. Luther listened with the expression of someone watching a car accident. When Victor finished, Luther asked one question: how long to rebuild affected modules without Nadia? The answer was devastating: 6 to 8 months, assuming they could recruit specific expertise and reverse engineer complex algorithms without original documentation. And revenue loss if platform remains non-functional for 6 to 8 months? Financial projections made the answer clear. Novatech would cease existing as viable company before alternatives could be implemented. Luther closed his folder and looked directly at Victor. You're terminated, effective immediately, he said with the tone of ordering coffee. Victor started protesting about severance and transition periods, but Luther cut him off. Ellen, please contact Nadia about reinstatement terms. Make it clear we're prepared to be flexible. 3 days after Victor confidently restructured my role, he was clearing his office while I negotiated my return terms. My conditions were specific and non-negotiable. Full administrative control over the AI platform team. Technical decisions made by people with technical expertise. Compensation reflecting actual value of my contributions. Formal policy preventing non-technical managers from overruling technical decisions without detailed justification. The board accepted every term without discussion. Luther signed documents with efficiency of someone who'd learned to recognize expensive mistakes. Within 48 hours, the platform was fully operational. Licensing termination reversed, functionality restored, clients received explanatory emails about temporary infrastructure upgrades. The team welcomed me back with relief and quiet satisfaction. We didn't celebrate Victor's departure. We simply returned to work interrupted by his brief, disastrous tenure. 6 months later, our AI platform was more advanced than ever. Victor's attempt to replace technical leadership with generic management had ultimately made us stronger and more independent. The experience taught me valuable lessons about protecting work and understanding business context. More importantly, I learned that sometimes the best revenge is allowing someone's arrogance and incompetence to create consequences they deserve. Victor's downfall wasn't malicious planning on my part. It was an inevitable outcome of his own decisions and assumptions. Today, our platform continues evolving while maintaining our culture of technical excellence. We've implemented protections, ensuring technical decisions remain with people who understand technology. The best revenge, as it turns out, is not just success, but the kind of success that makes someone else's failure completely unnecessary and entirely self-inflicted.